So we're also joined by.
FYI, hey, FYI, we have no sound
Oh,
on the
really?
stream. Do we have sound? We're
Me
good?
too.
Alright, maybe we're good now.
Hello.
Oh, did we miss that whole intro?
Alright, we're good now.
It looks like it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do that again.
Take it from the top. From the
Take
top.
it from the top. We're from the top. Okay, so it's gonna be a little different. Welcome to Bubble Tea Time, where we spill the tea on last week's games and set the table for this week's. I'm your host Adam, aka Digital Feeling, aka one of the best hosts that ever existed. But also, this is the last time I will be hosting for Bubble Tea Time. We also have Brian, aka Deco Dunu, aka the leader of THD, aka leader in most of the stats in the tournament. We have Daniel, aka Dan's, aka Dance the Stats, because he's sprinkling those numbers. We also have Colin, aka Zoidberg MD, who has a prescription for one of the best analysts for the upcoming games. Welcome, Analyst Desk. How is it going?
It's going pretty good, man. I
Great.
liked Take Two. Take Two was really good.
Really
Tell me
hot in
about
this
it.
outfit.
Same.
Dude, let's go real quick. What is everybody wearing? What are you wearing? Just like on the fashion red carpet. Let's start off with Dan's. What's going on here, brother? Are you a druid?
No, I am just a simple sorcerer with a bird helmet. My D&D group actually gave me this set of robes like 2 weeks ago, and just happened to coincide with when we were planning
There
to
you
do this.
go.
Colin, what's going on with this?
Namesake
I mean,
Zoidberg.
what's not going on with this, right? You know, I'm Zoidberg MD. I gotta represent the Zoidberg mask. You know, in reality, it's a Cthulhu mask, but it works as a Zoidberg. And this is what I wear to work when I'm loading and running pyro in the middle of the night in the winter.
That's horrifying. That's like someone will see it in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
And we also have Brian. What are you wearing? What kigurumi are you wearing?
This is Elena's alpaca kigurumi. Yay. It's so warm and fuzzy. Yeah, no, it's an alpaca or something like that. Yeah, llama, alpaca. What's the difference? I don't know the difference.
I'm
Do y'all know the
sure
difference? I don't know the difference.
I don't know the difference.
Used to.
But we could always ask our special guest, Pat, aka Sopasopa, looking strong as usual with that Superman outfit. What's going on, Sopa?
Not much. Feeling kind of hot right now. I'm wearing full tights right now. Everything's burning, but I'm good right now.
Well, just like your burning lead with acid rabbits, I'm sure it's a very, very exciting, very awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get right into it. These games, even though they were both of them were 2-0, were really, really interesting. They had some really good plays. So let's start off with the recap from last week. First one being Deep Dive versus Second Breakfast. The prophecy continues, boys. Let's go ahead and get that clip going as well. And if someone can set that up for us.
Yeah, honestly, the series was very close on and off with both Second Breakfast trying to be very proactive and sometimes just not being like making the same play together. And
Ooh, that's
honestly, Wired looked really, really good on Galio, or throughout the whole series, honestly.
Yeah, I think here, like in this clip, Deep Dive just does a better job of like maintaining space and staying clumped. Like even if they get Orion ulted, they'd gone on Barrock like way earlier in the fight, and he was already gone. And a big Orion ult doesn't mean like that much when you don't have like additional damage on top of it to finish them off. So a really good job from Deep Dive by being decisive and going on the Graves and erasing him from the map before the play could really like happen from Second Breakfast. I think that proactivity kind of just like led Deep Dive to a win. They were able to take the fights really aggressively and like play Second Breakfast at their own game. Second Breakfast is like pretty good because, or was good and got this far because of like Misa's ability to like push pressure on the map. Mayo's like willingness to dive into fights and Nick's willingness, Yo Betty White's willingness to go for picks in the mid lane and outside of lane. But when Deep Dive kind of like out aggressed a team that relied on their aggression, like it was kind of over for them. And plus, like we have to highlight it time and time again because in playoffs, it just gets more and more evident. But Oros Frostheart has been a monster in the top lane, an absolute rock. There are multiple moments where he just like 1v2 and got a double kill. Yeah, his ability to play weak side right now is really unparalleled, and I think he's just a gigantic reason that team is winning. They can play towards the bot side all day and devote zero resources to the top side, but somehow their top side wins anyway. Yeah, he's definitely my MVP so far for deep dive in their playoff run, and like if he keeps playing like this, I think they're a really formidable team.
I mean, I called it. Tim was gonna slap around, and he did some slapping.
Yeah, he definitely has done a lot of slapping. And he hasn't played against slouches either. Like in their playoff run, he played against Dropout Bear, Probe the Warrior, and the Great Flash. Like all of those top laner players are pretty good. They're considered like top half at the very least. And he hasn't really been bested by any of them. So yeah, he's really like gone through the grinder. Um, and like now against Shuai or Wajan Pro in the top lane, like it'll be interesting. Like he hasn't really played against a weak side top laner, and MBB plays a weak side top laner. So I'm curious like how things will shake up when it's weak side versus weak side.
Yeah.
Sopa, from your side as the jungler for Acid Rapids, what did you think about these two teams competing, or what do you think about them in general?
Deep dive and Milwaukee Bucks,
Second
right?
breakfast.
Oh,
Or is it
second
Milwaukee
breakfast.
Bucks. Sorry, Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, his cane, he just popped off like crazy. It's that's just one thing about him. It's like you cannot give this guy cane. His cane is just so insane, and it's so hard to kill when he gets ahead. And yeah, I think Mediotes is coming to his own. I think he's gonna be one of the scary junglers that's coming to the next game. So
Yeah, and I think Milwaukee Bucks, baby. Like we'll get when we get to the predictions, we can talk through like why our predictions are one way or another, and they're definitely a formidable team. But I do think that like Second Breakfast boasted a really strong jungler too. Misa had been tearing it up and was definitely on fire before this match. Um, but when he like after the AR series, which like doused him out a little bit, coming into this match, like even though he was supposed to be really strong and Nick Buddy White was on a tear, he just like never really turned it into anything like substantial. And then there were moments where like they had a lead, and he was kind of like the tip of the spear. And unfortunately, the tip of the spear was just dulled a little bit. Like Deep Dive scouted those movements out, were able to cut them out, like in that play where Misa's actually the one dying first. And like I think there was just an over reliance on like Misa carrying them through the entirety of the early and mid game. And like without a little bit more balance, like what Deep Dive has found with their top side popping off, it was just difficult for Second Breakfast to really like come through in the end.
Really amazing game. Really unfortunate that Second Breakfast got knocked out of the tournament. I thought they were just such a good team. It was really exciting seeing them. They do have the most, I think, famous comeback in a single game. Famously coined by Steven, is that they should FF. So it's really unfortunate for me as a big fan of Second Breakfast for them to go out. But let's go ahead and get to the second clip for the second game that was played, which is MBS versus Milwaukee Bucks, baby, with Milwaukee Bucks having the win this time around. Let's run that clip.
And honestly, like, good on Schwei for playing weak side both of these games and still being relevant. On top of
that's
that,
the big old bush. Yeah.
yeah. On top of that, Joe Avis Argente was a monster this whole series. Like, particularly on that Cassiopeia, like there was a particular gank where he held his flash and just turned around, ulted Zoidberg, and won the kill, got the kill off of it.
Yeah, like I think Shuai and Joe, especially in that second game, were really impressive. And in the first game, clearly, Mediotes on Kane was just out of this world. And he was also good the second game. I mean, they're all like running on highs. But I think like in the second game, Shuai, like he had a really tough time in the early game. He was camped out pretty hard. NBS was able to convert on Shuai multiple times, and yet like even so, he actually kept ahead in CS. And in that fight right there, he was unfettered as he went for backline, as he went for the dives on the carries and got them. Yeah, he just even though he was in a bad spot, he dug his way out pretty much by himself and was able to come into the game and take over. So really impressive from Shuai. And I think it's kind of reminiscent of Aurochs Frostheart, to be honest. Like weak side top laners that hadn't stood out a ton in the regular season, or maybe even like, I mean, for sure, maybe like the playoff run before this hadn't really like stood out because like say like Elena, Chia Snacks took a ton of the spotlight. But like in these games, I think this series was so interesting because it was kind of like Milwaukee Bucks baby is a team that's clearly built around their bot lane who can play against anybody. Um, but in these two games, it was like the first game was like Meteos just dominating, and the second game it was the story of Joe finding his picks out of bushes and just DPSing like crazy, and Shuai coming back from a really terrible start to dominate in the mid game on Volibear. And I think a team that shows it's just like deep dive, like a team that shows they have more looks than just playing through a single side of the map is a team that's really slated to go far because they're strong and they're versatile.
I actually want to touch on Joe's pick of Cassiopeia. Really, you all pointed out two big portions. There is aggressiveness from Joe, which I don't really know him for. Like going in, flashing between two towers while they're both up. For Cass, it's not a very popular pick. Sopa, Zoidberg, do you have like kind of a opinion of? I know Zoidberg, you played Cassiopeia, right?
Yeah,
Play
I
Cassio here, but I'm not a mid laner. Yeah, but I could. Yeah, it's
what-
one of his
what's your
best
opinion?
champions though. It's one of Cassiopeia is one of Joe's best champion outside of Oriana, and we've seen him in the first game against who was it? I don't know who it was, but Joe has been popping off with the Cassiopeia, and he definitely popped off in that. So
Yeah,
Yeah, and go ahead.
I mean, Cassiopeia is a good matchup, or good champ. She can team fight. She's one of the better AP mid laners to deal out damage in team fights consistently. As long as you can stay alive and kind of kite back, you deal equivalent damage to ADCs really easily, which is really important. Yeah, I mean, he was really good on it, and yeah, should definitely be something the team should be scared of.
Yeah, and I just don't think like NBS really like punished the Cassiopeia as much as they could have. There is a world where like Cassiopeia and Oriana kind of fit in the same mold where they're both really strong in the 1v1s. You can sit in lane as Oriana and Cassiopeia and just like spam your shit, and it does a lot of damage, especially once you get Slosh Chapter. It's kind of just like this never-ending barrage of damage in the mid lane, and easy pressure in the mid lane, especially if they have the right matchups. And that's kind of what happened. Like I think like there are other worlds we've seen like Oriana picks and stuff like that where skirmishes happen on the map and there's too much action for Cassiopeia and Oriana to like feasibly keep up with. That didn't really happen in the NBS series. It was kind of a slow game where Joe was able to get into the game. He would get ganked and stuff like that. There was a pretty spectacular gank mid where Joe just held his flash forever until Kane finally committed, flashed, and then got them both. He turned like a 0 for 1 into a 2 for 0. Like, yeah, pretty spectacular play, and I think a lot of that was because like he had a lot of space to play his game out. Yeah, we'll see if the next series against Deep Dive, like that's still the case. Because if that's still the case, Joe's champion pool that he has, like the Cassiopeia, the Oriana, the Azir, these champions he has, like those champions thrive in that moment where you give him a lane that he can play through. And I think the real danger is like if you deal with the mid lane, if Deep Dive goes and deals with the mid lane, like what happens to the bot lane? Like their bot lane has been really dominant. Like Elena in the series before this has been like god mode on like Morgana and stuff like that. So I think Milwaukee Bucks is honestly just a really spectacularly strong team right now and in some sort of form. So definitely a team to watch.
For sure. Both games really wonderful. Congratulations to the people who won, and unfortunate for the people who got knocked out of the tournament. It was a long series of games, and really appreciate your time and effort and playing these games out, especially for all of us to watch. Let's go ahead and go into our next segment, which is our boy Daniel with the dance stat between our own player and Mayan.
Dance stats.
So
Dance stats.
today we have our main event of AR versus THD. Basically another hype matchup between our mid laners. These are regular season stats between Decadonu and Man, and they might look a little one-sided, particularly in the KDA department. But if we look at playoff stats, I believe Man's edging out a little bit here and there, particularly in the damage per minute, as well as that vision score, Brian. Shame on you.
Oh no,
And
not 0.5.
yeah, and field participation. But these mid laners look to make plays along with their junglers. They try to get space, and honestly, like they don't die. It's
Uh,
so hard.
On the note of working with the junglers, Sopa, can you kind of tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your mid laner, what you kind of strive for, and what you're gonna do to Deco Donu, who is a powerhouse in this mid lane?
Well, me and actually micromanage me a little bit in the game. He actually helps me out with like making sure like I'm safe in the jungle. And whenever I want to invade, if I call him for invade, Mian's always there, has my back. So we have something in plan for Mr. Decadonu. We have something in plan for you. You're gonna see on Thursday.
Fair
Ah,
enough.
it's so soon. Um, so from let's talk about the past then, real quick, Sopa.
Mhm.
How's your relationship with your mid laner developed over time into this kind of powerhouse? Because as we noted before, you have, I believe, improved substantially over this season, especially from previous seasons.
We do practice a lot together. We have our own alternate accounts, but we usually practice together. Uh, Over time, we're able to develop in terms of communication. I'm able to like ask if I want something to happen in the game. He actually comes there and back me up. I think for our team, there is a huge importance with like mid and like jungle synergy, and um, we've been working on that and through our with our with our games, with our practice games. So um, yeah, we developed it there and we gotten better. So.
Wonderful. So alternate accounts separate. That way people can't check you out, huh? Little screen there.
Oh,
Coward.
yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, and let's continue the discussion with our predictions for this coming set, which is going to be our first game, which is going to be Acid Rapids versus THD, with, of course, a little bit of split, as expected, as it should be, both really competitive teams. Let's go ahead and start off with someone who's unbiased here. Let's go with Colin. What do you think is going to happen?
Same.
Colin?
Colin?
Let's go with digital feeling. What do you think is gonna happen?
Um,
You're also unbiased, right?
yeah, also unbiased.
Oh, sorry, I
So
did not realize I was muted. Sorry about that.
go, Colin.
Yeah. So we True Art Destiny and AR.
Yeah.
So I think True Art Destiny has worked really, really hard throughout this season and gotten really, really, really good. Like I think they are the best team from BTL that I've seen in the last 2 years. So until somebody shows me otherwise, I'm going to be voting for them every week.
Damn.
Simple
Damn.
enough. I'm gonna go
Nope.
the
No pressure.
opposite way with Acid Rabbits. I think are just an incredibly powerful force that really needs to be reckoned with. I think people are kind of like, because they don't see them in the server in the bubble tea practicing, you don't see them in one of the scrims or they're underestimating them. I think they do practice, and it's apparent because they're on alternate accounts. Um, and plus I think and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and Brian and Daniel may be mad at me. I think that the jungler mid synergy is more consistent, and I think that it is overall stronger.
Fancy. Yeah, I mean, I think I think we're obviously in a good spot. We took a break after our last series, and we're trying to ramp back up. We had a start. We went 4-0 today in Clash. Hell yeah.
Yep. Clash champions
Um,
here.
But yeah, I think we're getting back into it, and like once Thursday comes around, we'll be making sure that we're in game form. I think some would attest, like NBS would attest, and MVP would attest our scrim results are subpar compared to our BTL results. But I think we're already getting into game form, and like we're seeing it in practices and stuff, and like that's for us it's a good sign. We're getting our heads in the game earlier than we usually do. So, but yeah, like as for the series and as for how we view AR, like obviously they're the only team we lost to this season so far, and like they're a really strong team. Like they've only lost one game too, so I think that like we prepare for them. We'll prepare for them really hard, harder than most of the teams we prepare against, and like I don't know if we'll have like something special or anything to whip out, but we'll definitely be playing like a mix of bringing new stuff to the table, but also just playing our game because I think we're comfortable and like the strength of our game, like if we stick to it, so it'll be a good one.
Sopa, in the quickest terms, why should somebody be an Acid Rabbits fan? What makes you different from THD? What is the drawing factor for you all?
Well, first of all we have a nice logo, the rabbit logo, of course. I think our team is very diverse when it comes to like the mid lane and the bot lane. I think we're gonna show a lot of new picks for the next game. So I honestly think that just do that. I think that people should choose AR for that reason.
Well, very awesome.
If you want to be a fan of us, I'm just saying we're the bloodiest team in the league. We kill a lot of people and die a lot. So
Ooh, hell
you want
yeah.
to see action. You want
Your
to see
games
like
are interesting.
if you want to see the LPL action, like style, that's us.
Yeah, I feel like this is spring C9 versus summer TL. Like it's like one team is really hyper and bloody, and the other team is like, yeah, we're gonna wait you out, and we're gonna wait for you to make a mistake, and then we're gonna kill you. So it'll be interesting to see which style wins.
For sure. It's gonna be exciting. Let's go on to the next game predictions. A little bit less bias from us. We're gonna go with Milwaukee Bucks baby versus Deep Dive. Again, it split. Let's go ahead and start with Sopa. What's your reasoning for choosing Deep Dive over Milwaukee Bucks baby?
Limestone, man, the guy's insane. And he also got Anna too. She's improving throughout the season too. And I've been like helping her out, okay, explaining what to do and all that stuff. And yeah, also it's funny that Joe and Anna are like duos and they're playing against each other. It's like the teacher's teaching the student how to play support. So but also I mean Wired's insane also. I think Wired has improved throughout I think as the season went on and throughout the playoffs he's gotten a lot better, being a supportive mid. And Tim, Tim is insane.
Playoff Tim.
Tim is clutch. Let's call him Mr. Clutch. He's insane. And Scott, Scott's been playing pretty well in the playoffs too. But I think it's gonna be a close game. The other team, like Elena, you got the strong. I think one of the strongest bot lane in BTO is Elena and Nick Mead. I think they're very strong, very aggressive. Elena roams around the mid. She's just gonna destroy mid. I mean, she's insane. The jungler, I think he's strong, but just don't give him Kane. Whatever you do, don't give him Kane.
I mean,
and I think what else? Swai. I think Swai. I don't know the matchup between Swai and Tim. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think it's Tim favored.
Yeah, I think it's Tim favored as well.
I mean, I actually think it might be Tim favored, but like to be totally honest, like a lot of people fought into Tim. A lot of people wanted to like tower dive him. They put a ton of attention onto a weak side top laner who was playing weak side top lanes. Like the dude was playing Mordekaiser, the dude was playing Set. He's inviting you to go and kill him and then dunk you into his own tower. MBB doesn't play like that. Like it's gonna be a different game, and I'm curious to see how Deep Dive adapts to it because like they don't do that. They don't overload the top side. They overload the bot side. They overload mid. They don't really like. Tim and Shuai are playing the same game, and I think Tim has been playing into top laners that have played very distinctly different games. And so I don't know. I think it's a pretty blank slate for both of them, to be honest. And I don't know if I would go so quickly as to declare like, oh man, Tim is gonna just dominate this lane. I think it's gonna be a lot more of a push than people think it
I
is.
I think the pivotal lane is going to be Joe versus Wired.
Yeah.
Abyss Argentea and versus Wired. Joe he can carry the game if you give him the right champions and you give him and he gets slightly ahead. He can carry the game. And I think Joe and the mid lane is going to be the most pivotal lane in that series, for sure. So
Mhm.
I disagree. I think it's just going to be bot lane, right? We have the best bot lane in the league, arguably, in Chia Snacks and and I'm blanking on their ADC's name, and
And
I'm
Nick
so sorry.
Mead.
Nick Mead, thank you. You have the best bot lane in the league, arguably, with that, and then you have what some people consider to be an MVP candidate from the regular season as their ADC on Deep Dive. Like, it's going to be, I think it's all about the bot lane in this game. It's going to be really interesting. Like, both teams play through their bot lane, and both teams expect their bot lane to carry, and it's going to be really interesting to see which one comes out on top.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, for me, these teams are like, they're pretty close. Like the remaining four teams are all really strong, to be honest. I think we're all in like a big clump. I don't really think a team necessarily stands out like dramatically from the others. But when it comes to like MBB deep dive, like I am favoring MBB because I think one, I think that the bot lane of MBB is pretty unparalleled right now. And every bot lane remaining is really strong. But the Nick Mead and Chia Snacks are kind of like on another level. Elena's on another level. Chia Snacks impacts map so hard. Even in games where like she isn't the star, she's still like really solid. And in the games where she is the star, she is like 1v9 from the support position. Um, so yeah, I think it's pretty. Yeah, I don't know. The bot lane, I think um, Nick Mead has just been really impressive. His positioning in the late game has been really, really impressive. I think the best positioning of any AD carry in the league in the late game. So I do think that they have a safety valve, and their early season issues of like throwing games away and stuff like that. I think they've fixed a lot of that. They've changed their shot calling paradigm, and I think it's really shown. So it's gonna be a strong game, good game that is like really contested. I do actually agree with Mr. Sopa though. I think mid lane is really pivotal for me, um, because it really like if Joe has like open lanes and can get pressure on the lane, I think he can actually like impact map a lot more than Wired can impact the map. Just playing against them, like I think Joe has really evolved from the start of the season. I think at the start of the season, I played Kog'Maw into Cassiopeia, um, and like honestly, like Kog'Maw should get pressured. They had a jungler that could gank me, but it never happened. And then I scaled into Oblivion, and I just don't think Joe was aggressive enough. But as the season went on, he learned to like amp up the aggression, and I think Joe is now one of the most aggressive mid laners. Like he'll push you out of lane, and like he'll look for opportunities to punish. And I don't know if Wired's there yet. So right now, like I think because I favor the mid lane, for MBB, I think I favor like MBB as a whole. The bot lane and the mid lane both I think are really formidable, and so it'll be a good series. But I think it'll be down to the carries.
Speaking of the carries, we actually got a question from Twitch, which I think is a really great question. Is from Adam, which I believe is going to be Hugs and Unicorns. The four teams remaining all have extremely strong bot sides. I think the top three ADC vote getters and Alki, who's obviously really great, is this a coincidence? Does BTL playstyle slash meta make this the most likely outcome?
For me, it means that you can snowball two players, right? And then you're bringing more people across the map once they get going. So being able to move off map with two players that are going to be really, really strong means that you can push leads with them.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a different route. I think the four teams that are left are the teams that have practiced the most. Like, just
That's true.
straight up, I
That's probably
think
true.
the four teams that are left are the teams that have practiced the most and put in the most effort into this season, and I think that's representative in who's left. I don't think it has anything to do with having a strong bot lane. I think that's great, but I think all positions in this league right now, at least right now, like at these teams, we're pretty solid. Like, you're not going to get anybody that's going to hyperfeed at this point. And I think it really comes down to practice and who's working best with their teams. And these are the four teams that put in the most effort, and they were rewarded.
I mean, I think I can agree with that. I think it's a little bit of both to me. Definitely, like these are the four teams that practice the most. I'm pretty sure, and like definitely they deserve their spots in the top four. But on the other hand, I do think like games in BTL go a lot slower for the most part than like solo queue games. There are some like that are honestly a little bit unfortunate, like in the terms of like being smashes. But the games that aren't smashes actually go pretty late. Things are a lot more controlled, and like action happens like proactively instead of like people randomly dying and stuff like that. And with the game state being more controlled, I think it gives more time for ADCs to like really get in there. Bot lane is also really big because a lot of bot dives are happening. Mid laners, like especially the ones that are like remaining, like are able to shove map state and like able to get like on the bot side and stuff like that really quickly. Yeah, I just think like having a strong bot lane is really critical as like a safety valve right now. And like when you go late, like these ADCs are doing a ton of damage. Jack Limestone does outputs a ton of damage. Man Butts outputs a ton of damage. Nick Mead outputs a crazy amount of damage. Like we're getting to the point where all these ADCs are outputting damage because the game state favors them and it's slow enough to where they can actually get in the game. It's not solo queue. So I do think it's really important. And like right now, the support pool in terms of like being playmakers and hook champions that favor like Barry Allen and like you have Blitzcrank for Barry Allen, you have Pike and all these like playmakers. Rakan for Chia Snacks, you have Leona for Dan's. Like it's all like playmakers and damage dealers. Like this meta is a meta that really favors bot lanes that get big and stay big.
Hell yeah. We got our following question. Um, for the episode, since this is a Halloween episode, can you tell me the scariest moment you've had throughout your League of Legends career?
Oh, my first match against Brian I was in Vietnam with Brian.
What?
And Brian's on the opposite team as me, and he locks in Hecarim, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then the game was over. Like there was no, he was up like 22-0. Like it was just he literally just destroyed everybody on that stage. It was nasty.
I got yelled at for that game. You're not
Yes,
supposed
I
to
know
do
you
that.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, in playtest you're not supposed to like go hard in the paint, but the problem is I picked Hecarim and you either go hard in the paint or you lose, So like I ended up going hard in the paint. It was a little too hard in the paint.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing I've ever seen in a game was Brian on Hecarim at like 5 minutes already being up 5 kills. It was disgusting.
Okay.
Hecarim's my bae, man.
I've got to say, one practice game against Chia Snacks and Nick Mead. Chia Snacks picks Pike, and Ben can attest to this. We were traumatized. We like got destroyed in lane, and we just felt presence everywhere. It's like we don't see Pike. I don't know. She's gonna kill us. She's just gonna kill us.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a different direction. I think it's my scariest moment playing League is every time Hugs and Unicorns tries out a new champion in his first game. Yeah, it's something else, man. It's something else.
I don't know. For myself, actually, I know I just don't like playing against Shaco players, but I don't know. Do you guys have anything else that's scary?
Actually, funny
Adam?
enough, mine is also Elena, because like when she plays like somebody like Pike, she does this thing. I don't know if you've seen this, Brian, but she moves into like her screen at an angle and like gets super like killy. Like she just like every time there's like a possible kill, she's just like thirsty for it, and she just like starts like laughing after she kills somebody, and you're like, what the?
Well, you just reminded me.
Um,
You just reminded me. Yeah, the scariest moment was probably playing against Elena's Leona. She keeps going. I don't know. I can't walk forward every time I play against her. It's just scary. I don't know. If you remember, it was 2-3 seasons ago. I was playing bot lane, and she just kept engaging over and
I
over.
remember this game. Yeah, that was a depressing game.
And then you had your rumble, and then you just like fried me in the under tower. So okay, that was pretty bad.
I like how 3 of the 5 like scary spoopy things, and they're all about Elena. Like, how horrifying! And what a testament to a good
Yeah,
player.
I mean,
though.
she's a
outside of-
playmaker. Always
Outside of
been that way.
BPL, I think my scariest time was Misa just gotten his job at Riot, and he invited me to play games with his coworkers. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm good enough with these people. What the hell is going on? and I was at that time playing top lane, and they're like, "Yeah, just sub it. I don't know, just play Maokai. I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up." Didn't fuck up.
Didn't fuck up.
Yeah. I wonder, Elena, were you scared when you played with double lift? You were, or are you just confident? Like, I'm gonna show double lift how to really carry. Yeah. She said she was a
yeah.
little scared.
Elena for TSM, go!
Let's go ahead and we have one of two more questions. One of them being, can we get a dance twirl?
Yes, I saw Mina requesting this, and I agreed to it. So give me a sec.
Wow, this is actually straight up like a robe. What the hell?
It may or
That
may
is
not
like
be a women's
that
night
is sorcerer like.
Hey, no judgment.
down. Still
Hell
a kind of
yeah.
robe, right?
That's actually, I like that it fades color. That's pretty sick. I love that. And I think that Sopa has spandex. I don't know if we want him twirling.
No,
We
not a
want
good
Sopa
idea.
to flex. Come on, Sopa, flex. There we go.
And let's see. I think that's gonna be it. I did want to note that we got drawings. So if you see in these corners here, so I drew this one, and on Sopa's corner, I believe Elena drew that one.
That corner, Sopa. There you go.
Yeah.
Can't. Fuck this.
Fun little fact about us. Elena set up all this spooky stuff in like the last week, so super good job on her.
Yeah. She's a beast. Not
She
only
is a-
will she kill you with pike, she'll also kill you with cuteness.
Hey, yeah.
Hey. All right, let's go ahead and thank you all so much for the Twitch questions. We're gonna go ahead into our bracket recap, which is gonna show that in C1Y1, which is AR versus THD, which is the upcoming games, and Deep Dive versus MBB. So this is week 4. We only have 2 more series after this, so everything's coming to an end. Hopefully, we'll get these games scheduled as soon as possible, and then get to our finals winner. So we'll give the schedule as well, which is going to be on Thursday. Ooh, spooky! Look at that,
Spooky.
Love it.
spooky. On the 22nd, which is going to be, I believe, this Thursday. Yes.
Yes, this Thursday.
It's going to be at 7 p.m. It's going to be Astrobab versus THC, which if you haven't seen them play before, I highly recommend you watch this game. I think it's going to be by far one of the best and bloodiest games because I think both the teams have a lot to prove. And then we also have our Milwaukee Bucks baby versus Deep Dive game to be announced. It should be really exciting for all of y'all except for me and Colin on teams. Colin, what match are you most excited for?
THG versus AR. I think that's gonna be a banger of a series, and it's gonna be really good, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm actually gonna go ahead and go with the opposite. I actually think that Deep Dive versus Milwaukee Bucks, maybe I want to see Aurochs just 1v2, just anything that they throw at them, and I would be so impressed because like if Aurochs is able to do that, I would probably put him for the MVP for the playoffs. If he can
Alright.
survive and make it happen.
Been playing pretty well, yeah.
So it's so exciting. We'll see how it comes off. But let's go ahead and we're gonna thank the analysts, Brian, Colin, Daniel. Thank you so much for not only giving us commentary but also dressing up.
You're welcome, and thank
Yeah.
you for hosting for the last few weeks, man. This is your last week.
Yeah, just for those who don't know, this will be my last time on BTT for the time being. I will be moving next week, and then wanted to give someone else time to get the reins and do really well at it. And I hope that y'all enjoyed me as a host, and I hope it's been a good time, and I hope we provided you with entertainment. Along with entertainment, Sopa, thank you so much for joining us this week on Bubble Tea Time.
Thank you.
We're gonna miss you, Adam.
Yeah.
We'll miss you, Adam.
It'll
Don't
be
go. back.
I'll watch
Goodbye.
BTT
You'll be
and
back.
I'll watch the season finish off. And with that, thank you all Twitch viewers, anybody who's watching the VODs, and anyone watching on YouTube. We really appreciate your time, your efforts. We appreciate all the players who put a lot of time in. Please share the league with anybody that you think would be interested. And we'll see you on the Rift. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.